Okay, so people tell me I make wonderful salsa. I think it's pretty good. And I have asked how to make it. So here's what we need to start. 3 bell peppers, 1 yellow, 1 red, 1 orange. 2 largish tomatoes, 1 large red onion, 1 jalapeno, 3 or 4 dried red chilies, ground cumin, minced garlic. This is wet stuff, not garlic powder. I use chopped up cilantro, kosher salt, olive oil, black pepper, and a lime. And a chopper to chop it with. Oh, and sugar. There's been some questions. I came up with this this recipe because I like not liquidy salsa, like comes out of a blender like you buy in the store that's more of a paste. I like stuff that's got chunks, has things to chew in it. And you can buy those at the store, but usually they have cucumber in it, and I don't like cucumber. So I went around on the internet and I looked at probably 15 or 20 different salsa recipes and looked at the stuff that I liked in each one and kind of took them all together and made my own salsa recipe. And it's taken a few turns at it, but got something that I think is pretty good. With the bell peppers, don't keep the seeds. With all the other peppers, keep the seeds. I'm going ahead and cutting this stuff up to start just so it goes quicker here later. I'll try to figure out how to speed through some of these things on the video when I get down to doing some editing on it. I use a whole lime, not just the juice. Well, clearly not the skin. And I generally find that just for ease, I don't think it has any effect on the flavor, to go from onion to peppers to tomatoes, and then all the stuff that's liquidy or the spices. I keep as much of this lime juice as I can as I'm cutting it up. The lime has a tendency to break down, at least this is my understanding, it breaks down some of the stuff and in the peppers and some of the other things, and doesn't so much mute the taste, but helps it spread around inside. So you don't eat this as soon as you get done with it. You let it sit and steep for a day or two. Also, glass or plastic for your bowl. Don't use a metal bowl because after you let it sit for a while, I have seen them etch a little bit, so not the best thing. I also find it's best, I'm using the slap chopper. For me, I find that if I cut the stuff up into slices first, it makes the slap chopper a heck of a lot easier. With any luck, you won't see me bleeding into this salsa. There has been once or twice where that happens. I will say, I get varying reports on how spicy this is. I like things to be on the spicier side. So to me, it's not too bad. But people who, everybody likes it, even, you know, I don't always make it exactly the same. I just kind of throw it together each time with a little bit, maybe a little bit different. But even when it's on the spicy side, everybody says it's delicious. It's funny watching my kids turn red as they just wolf the stuff down on chips. Take these off. Now, if you want to throw all these things in the blender and like turn them into a puree, it works just fine. The color is different. This will be in the end kind of watery, but if you throw it in the blender, it'll come out, well, waterier, but it'll look kind of brown, which is kind of interesting, I think. So, slap chopper. Oh, this is a new slap chopper. I just bought it the other day. I think this is going to be the second time I've used it. In fact, about the only thing I use it for is making salsa. Because I still haven't managed to get the art of using the blender to make the chunks, the chopped up chunks that I like. And this is a much cheaper alternative to a food processor. I don't even know if food processors work very well for that. So, I guess I had a smaller onion last time. You know what? Maybe this is the first time I've used this one. Nice and simple, little chunks. This is what we're looking for. At least this is what I'm looking for. I don't know what you're looking for. If you're watching this video, you must be looking for some way to pass the time because you're bored out of your skull or something. This is a red onion, by the way, clearly. So maybe somebody doesn't know the difference, so I'm not trying to be a smartass. And they're hot. The red onions are, it's making my eyes water. Let's go ahead and drop it in a bowl. My last slap chopper broke. First it wouldn't turn on the inside when I was slapping it. Then this top handle broke. It also had quite a bit bigger diameter. It could handle this onion no problem. I'm starting to cry now. So you can see the small chunks this makes. I'll throw these away. Put bigger or smaller chunks in there here and there. It's not a big deal. Clearly one of these peppers won't fit in there. But even if they do, like I said, I kind of figured out that it's best to cut them up in little strips like this before you chop them. What happens is if you don't cut them up in strips, they have a tendency to stick onto the blades and get wedged in there, and then you gotta fart around with them to get them out. And then they're still not chopped up. Wow, that is some hot onion today. The onions vary in heat, depending on the time of year you buy them, where you get them. Take this white stuff out. The worst thing to chop up is the tomatoes. They make a mess. They just run all over the place when you cut them up. Of course, you probably already knew that. I mean, if you're watching this, you've probably tried to make salsa before, or successfully made salsa before. You're just looking for something a little different. Or maybe this is your first time, in which case, I hope you like it. It's not hard. Once you gather the ingredients together, the whole process is, I don't know, I guess we'll figure it out at the end of this video, but it's only about 15 minutes, I think. Maybe not even that. Yes, I washed my hands. It was like 6 weeks ago, but I did wash my hands. Let me tell you, I've been working on my porch. I've got some cuts in different places on my hands. Some of this stuff burns like the dickens when it gets in those cuts. So, if you got any cuts on your hands, you might want to... that hit me in the face. You might want to consider getting some gloves or waiting until the cuts heal all the way. It's okay if that fascia gets in there, it won't hurt anything. That's the white stuff that I've been cutting out. I just don't like the texture of it. Same with the seeds. They won't hurt if they get in there, but they don't really contribute a lot to the flavor. As opposed to the hot peppers, whose seeds do contribute a lot to the flavor and the heat. So you notice I'm doing things that are fairly dry to start. As soon as I get these tomatoes out, if you start with them, you're going to have a big, nasty, wet surface, and everything's going to be a mess. Everything in the pepper, even the fascia. And maybe a sharper knife. This is a jalapeno. A poblano works fine too. Anything that you like as far as these kinds of peppers go. When they're fresh like this, at least to my taste buds, they're not that hot. After you cook them, they get really hot. But as this is right now, and I probably wouldn't want to stuff it in my mouth. But so let's talk about heat for a minute. This is something a lot of people don't understand, at least about me. That's a little bit warm. I am not one of those people who likes spicy stuff just for the sake of spicy. I'll stay away from spicy stuff a lot of times. What I do like is flavor. And if it's absolutely but it's spicy and I have to deal with the burn, I'm okay. That's fine. Last night I had some delicious Thai food and holy cow, I just had the leftovers a little bit ago. I asked them to make it real spicy, not just American style. Some extra sriracha. Not just like extra sriracha in it, but let's put real Thai peppers in it and make it delicious. Because somebody I used to know, maybe I still know him, I just haven't seen him in a while, he was Thai and he owned a restaurant, and we sat down and worked our way through drunken noodles, which are my favorite dish, by the way. Of course, what do you expect? And wow, they were good. I don't know where that was going. Come on, let go. Anyway, Thai food can be too hot. Last night was right on the verge of it. I wouldn't want it any hotter than what I had last night. I've already paid for it once or twice today when I went to the bathroom. That was probably TMI. Oh, I washed my hands since I did that too. Probably not happy to know. So this thing does that. There. Nice thing about these is they just wash off with water. You don't even have to use soap on them, really, if you do it as soon as you're done. Although they clearly require a little elbow grease. Excuse me. The reason I'm making a video of this is because I sat down and wrote this recipe from memory, and I couldn't remember in a couple places if I used tablespoons or if I used teaspoons. So I'm going back and video documenting as I go. And I'll figure it out. Using the bell peppers makes some sweetness to the mix. It's not just the tomatoes. It's almost a pico rather than a salsa. It's the cumin that really turns the one into the other, I think. I could be full of shit. I don't know. As far as cilantro, some people really like cilantro. Some people think it tastes like soap and don't like it at all. I'm kind of ambivalent. It's okay, but I agree that it has a soapy aftertaste. It turns out that appears to be the expression of a couple of different genes, and people who think that cilantro tastes soapy have those genes turned on, I think, and people that don't think it's soapy do not have those two genes turned on, or they don't have both of them turned on anyway. Maybe, I don't know. For what it's worth. Useless trivia with which you may astound your friends or bore them completely. Whatever the case may be. Excuse me. As far as tomatoes, I'm not counting any of this stuff. I'm not advertising for anybody. Different times of the year, the different tomatoes taste different and smell different. I buy them by the way they feel. I want them to be firm, but I also buy them by their smell, which you can't get there, but these smell pretty good. So these will make a pretty good salsa. And now more choppy choppy. I suppose if you wanted to be really lazy, you could probably just buy a couple of cans of crushed tomatoes at the grocery store, and then you wouldn't have to chop them up like this. If you want to be really lazy, you say the heck with the whole idea of chunky salsa and run it all through the blender, or just go buy salsa in the store. That's the really lazy way. Not that I'm dissing the lazy way, I do it often. I'm making these today. My kids aren't here because I am planning on doing a taco night this weekend. And we'll use this salsa instead of store-bought salsa in them. See me moving it around there. Sometimes it works better because something will stick to this lip here on the side, and which was definitely going on there, and then it won't chop up. So if you move it around a little bit, it'll unstick it and let things move around in there. See, like that kind of didn't get going. There we go. I'm done chopping. Get rid of this mess real quick. This is a far departure from my normal nerdy talks. as some of you may already know, or may be about to find out, I don't know, if you start surfing my YouTube channel here, where you're seeing this video, you'll find all sorts of stuff about electronics, software, other nerd things. Oh darn it, I forgot to chop these up. Guess I'll do that real quick. 3 or 4 of these are kind of big, so this is going to be hot, but it's the last on my batch, so I'm not going to save just one. Usually they're a little bit smaller. But these 3 are going to make this batch hot, so probably. So just chop them up into, just like this. When I start getting a little bigger, maybe cut them down the end. These are really good. They have great flavor. But when they get stuck in your gums, they'll burn your tongue. This is the same stuff you buy, like if you go to a pizza joint and they got the crushed red peppers and the little shaky thing with the Parmesan cheese, well, next to the Parmesan cheese. So if you know what to buy, I'm sure you could buy that already done up. The problem is I don't know how much is here. I'm guessing this is a little more than a teaspoon, maybe, question mark. There. Do not rub your eyes. I know you're crying after all that onion, but let me tell you what, you're going to be crying a lot more if you rub your eyes after you got this stuff on them. Kosher salt. One heaping tablespoon. Any more, it'll be way too salty. Black pepper. This depends on your taste. Oops. 1 flat tablespoon. This kind of affects the onset, so sometimes you eat something that's spicy and it's hot right off the bat. Other times it takes a little while to get there. That stuff sort of that takes a little while to get there. Cumin. One heaping tablespoon. Oops. Sugar. About just 2 level teaspoons. I kind of overdid that first one. So, cilantro. It's a brand new thing of cilantro because I just ran out. Fresh cilantro works really well too. It doesn't keep. I don't make this often enough to buy big chunks of it and then just have to throw them away. So cilantro. About 1.5 tablespoons. Unless you like cilantro a lot, then have more. That's true with all this. If you like more heat, more black powder. If you like, or more peppers, the little red chilies. Garlic. One big heaping. Okay. 1.5, 2 tablespoons. I like garlic. And then last, olive oil. Virgin olive oil comes from Ugly Olives, by the way. And I guess 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons. That has a tendency to run around and stick to things and kind of keep everything stuck together flavor-wise. I'll put this stuff away. That is really all there is to it. There's one important part now, though. Besides cleaning up your mess, because I got stuff all over the bottom here. Mix it up. Oh, look at this. I forgot to squeeze my lime in here. Sometimes you can put like 2 tablespoons of vinegar in here, but I almost never do that. I've done it once. It just adds an extra zing, but this lime kind of has that zing in it in and of itself. So, and I have a friend who's allergic to vinegar, so. So pretty much the whole lime in there. Stir it up. Mix it up really well. Okay, so you can eat this now if you want to, but it's a mistake. What you really want to do is put plastic wrap over it. Put it in the refrigerator and let it set for no less than a day. So I won't consider this edible until tomorrow afternoon at 6 o'clock. And that's because it's kind of like tea. It steeps. All the flavors kind of blend together, melt around, run all over the place, and then before you eat it, stir it up again. And that is that. Goodbye, everybody, while I finish cleaning up my mess.